I wouldn't say so, because you see, the technical team that works on such issues before matters escalate to the president's table, nothing changed in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It's only the minister and the PAs. You'll find that technically the operational structure of a ministry doesn't adjust much. It's only the political seats, the seats that need to be adjusted, that get adjusted every 5 years. So that you have the same advisors who could have been advising Kibaki administration are the same ones in that ministry. The same personnel that was handling different countries, you might find they are the same directors within the departments that handle the advisory that eventually moves up to the PAs and then to the CAs, and then is escalated through cabinet to the president. So you find that we cannot say that diplomatically we are very naive. We may not be, because as a nation, our ministries, if you look at the Ministry of Health, hospitals continue to run. Even when elections are happening, things still continue to move, because governments do have, our government and governments have perpetual succession when it comes to the operational base of how a ministry runs. So it's not the ghost, but maybe it's a different styles when leaders change. The different styles of leadership at that high level. But what I would say is that once again is when parties are warring, even when a couple fights in marriage, anything that you do within that institution, even a very small act which would otherwise not have been questioned in a normal sense, it starts to get questioned when there is a conflict. So maybe what I would myself say is to call to more sensitivity on how the situation is handled, and then more goodwill even on the commentaries that we are given. Because, for instance, when we bring in the AUC seat, the story of the AUC seat, which could as well, yes, be affected by some of the decisions we make at a diplomacy level, we must also be able to abreast ourselves of how complex that vote was. By the time it reached 22 to 26, and our candidate, Honorable Raila Odinga, dropped off from contesting, we must also understand how dynamic, how complex and challenging that vote becomes, because of the serious dynamics and the different interests that Africa, AU, enjoys across the breadth of the 53 nations of Africa. Okay. Once we understand the complexities and understand that it's only on one occasion when we had a president who was not, when we had a chairman who was neither Muslim nor Francophone, then we understand how complex that vote is, that all the other AUC chairmen have been coming from a certain interest group. So that then, for me, I looked at AUC chairmanship position or the elections as something that spoke into need for AU to restructure so that it's more inclusive, that a presidency can come from whatever corner of Africa. So for me, I would say it spoke into a very big issue, which has been swept under the carpet. Okay. And if we address ourselves to those dynamics, then we'll be able to see that the constitutive documents of Act of the AU would need to be looked into. And happily, it's our president who is in charge of the reforms. He's in that committee that is in charge. He's the one who is leading the committee that is in charge of reforms. Those are dynamics that need to be looked into, because if AU is to achieve the Agenda 2063, then we need to ensure that countries like Kenya, other countries that are within Africa that have not had a chance at that a stab at that leadership level are also included, because you cannot ignore Kenya within AU. It's one of the major economic blocks. And it's Kenya, very near the top when it comes to the influence that Kenya yields, and when it comes to the way Kenya is handling all the other nationalities that are around it. Our visa system, for instance, was among the first ones to be opened to all Africans. And if AU has to move towards where EU is, where you get a Schengen visa, and it's a borderless you can cruise from one nation to the other. If that's what we are looking at, opening trade, having citizens able to trade within Africa, not paying flights more expensive than us going to, if you're going to Ghana or if you're going to Nigeria, your ticket will be more expensive than going to the US, almost close to going to the US. When we look at those issues, dynamics, then we will tell ourselves whether AU has been effective or needed injection of certain understandings that our candidate had.
But you will agree
now missed.
that it is actually realistic to draw parallels between Kenya's diplomacy and the questions being asked about our actions and the consequences, like what will happen at the AU.
You see what is happening right now. This